So welcome back, Operation on the Rocks, episode 3. If you've been following us from the start, at this point, you kind of know what we're about. You know, we talk about the controversial topics. We talk about the topics that people want to shy away from or they want to argue it until they're red in the face. So just to recap, for those who are new here, we like to talk about things in a respectful way, in a factual way at that. And just, again, we're recapping. First episode, we talked about Donald Trump's second term in office. Episode 2, we discussed all the current wars worldwide and things of that nature. And again, it's being Operation on the Rocks. For tonight, we have Basil Hayden as our drink of choice, one of Kentucky's finest bourbons, in my opinion. Some may differ, but if you do, let us know. Please like, subscribe, and comment. So with that being said, for tonight's episode, you guys ready to talk some politics?
Hey, man, let's do it, bro.
Listen, we have a lot more to bring to the table than politics, and we want to, relate to you guys. Listen, we're not, just me personally, I don't want to speak on behalf of these guys, but I'm not some rich figure. I'm not some popular, podcaster. We're just guys trying to get a start, trying to, let things be known what we're about. And so tonight, we would like to start with, how are you guys handling your finances in the controversial around Trump's second term in office? I mean, I think we can all see from the election up until now, the roller coaster the stock market has taken. So, for everything that you guys are seeing, how are you preparing, for one, your families, yourself, your futures at that? How are you guys preparing yourselves, for this kind of roller coaster of a market? Open the floor to you guys.
I think it's twofold, right? So there's how are we feeling about Trump's economy, and then there's what am I doing about it for my family? So, and again, thank you guys for just being a part of this thing. Audience, like he said, this is our 3rd episode, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to open up dialogue so that way people can disagree, but also have some humility and respect, right? We are from the United States of America. We are united. We are diverse. We are different. But what makes us great is being able to come together and have these discussions. So getting to Trump's economy, man, I think what I personally have felt, right, is there were a lot of promises made. Now, some would argue that maybe he was saying these things because it was a campaign move. When we start talking about, fixing inflation immediately, right, within his first 90 days, all of these promises and things like that. I think that if you follow politics at all for the last 50 years, you understand that that's not necessarily possible. And I hope that people didn't vote for him because of that. Now, the question is, as a man with a family, I got 2 kids and I got a wife, how do I manage that? Well, I manage that by preparing my family and my children, right? By investing in accounts, right? By making sure there's a college account, by making sure there's an emergency account that outweighs, that has 6 months to a year. So me personally, it's just about preparation. No matter what president is in, it doesn't matter if it's Obama, Trump, whoever it is, you need to prepare your family, right? Regardless of what promises are made. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I would go with that. I like the piece about no matter who's president, because that's ultimately the perspective I take. And I think that those that you're gonna, if we were to look at case studies of people that have been successful at whatever level that you want to be successful at, people have different visions of that. Some people, their retirement count is in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that's their goal. Some people it's in the millions, some people it's in the multi-millions, et cetera, et cetera. One consistency, I bet, and I haven't looked at the data, fair enough, that you would find is that they found a way to persevere no matter what the leadership was. And so that's the mindset that you want to have. Not to say that one style of leadership wouldn't be better than the other, but whoever the mechanism or the governance is, that you've got the mindset that you're going to achieve regardless. And if it's all right, if I keep talking for a moment, I'll give you guys a little bit of background about me and my finances, which is I was broke in my 20s. I did a completely different career field. I work in, as you guys know, I work in IT now. But I was in the arts field for the first 12, 13 years of my career. It's a very feast or famine profession. You're either, and I did a film production, you're either Spielberg or you're working like check to check kind of thing. And it's also about where you lived. And I lived in North Carolina on the coast, which has a production community. But it was very difficult for me to navigate that bridge between doing what I loved and doing something that was going to make me economically prosperous in all seasons, right? Because that's what we're looking for. Yeah, that's what we're looking for, right? Is that balance of that thing that's going to give us that satisfaction, but it's going to be good for all seasons. Without going like a full recap of my career, I didn't really start making that stabilized money in my 30s and until I got into my 30s. And that's kind of the perspective that I've taken now. One of the things that I'll say, and I know we talk about faith, or we're faith-based individuals, and that's something that we're going to explore in future episodes and do a deeper dive into faith. But in my 30s, I started tithing too. So I tithe. I've been tithing for years, and I really believe in that. And not to say that it was simply just that, and then things exploded, because there's still a lot that I'm trying to learn.
Yeah.
And if you guys, this will be my last point, the piece that I'm really wanting to work now is investing, whether it be in the stock market, whether it be in properties or real estate. If any of you guys want to speak to that, I would love to hear your thoughts, because that's the biggest wealth builder, as we've seen.
100%, man. I won't speak on me, but I want to follow up really quick, and then I'll get to another point about what you just said. How do you tithe? And also, to add to that, do you guys consider tithing only to go to like a church? Or, because I believe I tithe as well. I'm not connected to a church, though. I wasn't raised in a church. But to me, when I see, some of these guys on the street, some of these women on the street, if I see, heck, I'm in the grocery store and, maybe I purchase somebody's groceries for them, right? Do you guys perceive that as tithing, or tithing can only be, I got to hand it to the preacher, I got to hand it to the usher, or can I tithe? Because when I think about the Bible, just getting on the faith tip, from my understanding, right, God says, when you saw me, you didn't do anything for me. I came to you. When do we see you, Lord? Well, you saw me when I was on the street asking for help.
The Good Samaritan.
The Good Samaritan. But you did nothing. And I find that to be a level of tithing. How many people in the world walk around just like, I'm not going to help nobody? It's all about me, my family, and how I can get ahead. It's a capitalist mindset, right? And I think there's a level of, you have to kind of have that, but also when you're tithing, can you tithe to the world? Can you tithe to your neighbor? What do you guys think about that concept?
Well, I would love to touch on this, by the way. So, you're kind of, what I get from what you're asking is, it's kind of a good works type thing versus tithing in a traditional setting in the church.
Right.
And I'll tell you right now, one of Jesus's main commandments, and he even stated it clearly in the book of Matthew, love your neighbor as thyself. So I think that clearly answers your question.
Yep.
However, I'll kind of touch on what he said. So my wife and I, along with our kids, started attending church. And again, we don't mean to get off on a tangent for our subscribers. We're going to cover this in great, great detail in a future episode. But when I started tithing, I wasn't at a loss for the money or anything like that. But I noticed that I felt like my money was being well spent, to say the least, right? It was the best way I knew how at the time. And if I knew a cause that I could help someone and I knew where the money was going, again, we're a capitalist society. So I feel like people are hesitant to give to like charities or things that they don't know where the money's going to. I think everybody can relate to that. But yeah, that's kind of what I would say about it. Love your neighbor as thyself. That was literally, other than love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul, with all your mind.
Yeah.
That was one of the second main commandments that Jesus commanded us.
I agree.
Yeah.
So,
That's really good, man.
Yeah,
I mean, y'all, you know what I'm saying?
I know you got something sweet for us. Let's get it.
I mean, honestly, I just wanted to piggyback on what you said and more so ask a question to follow on with what you're saying. So, and just being careful with, how we interpret the Bible, and because people see things differently, I think that's absolutely amazing. And I've never really thought about that. I grew up in I would definitely say more a traditional, Christian household. My grandma was definitely Baptist, we stay in the church for like 5 hours, you know what I mean? And it was one of those things like, hey, you should be tithing, but it was all, I'm not gonna lie, it was sort of from a tradition of putting the preacher on the pedestal, you know what I'm saying? The reverend, deacon, you know what I'm saying? I've since then sort of gotten away from that, glorifying, you know what I'm saying, those positions and putting the focus back on God, you know what I mean? And so, but I would love if anybody in the comments, you know what I'm saying, if you have a take on that, I love that question. I love that,
Right.
that outlook. I've never thought about that, for what you're saying, you know what I mean? As far as, hey, when you see somebody on the side of the road, where's your heart at? You know what I mean? Are you, with the money that God has already blessed you with, are you taking that and are you blessing somebody else? Because that's exactly what it says in the Bible, right? And so, and my other question is too, like just being careful with the types of gospels that are out there. We all know that there's something called the prosperity gospel. And so my thing is it is easy to fall into that sand pit of, hey, like,
Yes, if you send me $1, God will bless you. Yes, I know what you're talking about.
There's literally people out here who
Christianity is not a works-based salvation, by the
There
way.
we go. There we go. There's people out here who are trying to say, hey, you can get this. God is going to bless you and give you a Benz if you just give this much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't believe in that. So I wonder, and I think it's a heart posture thing.
Yep.
At the end of the day, it's a heart posture thing. So tithing,
What is your intent?
it's what your intent is. But I also believe that, hey, when you tithe, like, don't expect that to come back in the form of $1. Always, you know what I'm saying? Like there's other you could be blessed in many different areas outside of monetary.
That's
right?
a great point.
Well, it's not tit for tat, and also the thing that, and the reason why I mentioned your neighbor, right? And Trey, you made a great point about what Jesus said is also because your body is a temple, right? So we think about God and we think about tithing to a physical place, but what sometimes we forget is your body is the temple, and that's why Jesus said the temple will be destroyed in 3 days and rebuilt. Why did he say that? Because he was talking about his own body. He wasn't talking about an actual physical church. And that's what the Pharisees couldn't understand. They were like, well, what do you mean you're going to tear this down? He was talking about his own body that got destroyed and rose in 3 days. So your body is the temple. So when you bless a person, you're blessing God's temple. You are tithing to the temple. You are giving to that temple. You are actually, giving to the house of God, because the house of God is you.
Yeah, and to the piece about, is this actually tithing if you give something away to something outside of the church entity? I mean, my understanding, and unfortunately, guys, just to show my lack of knowledge of the Bible, I can't quote for you where in the Bible the verse is about tithing, but 10% of your first to the church is scripturally my understanding of what it says. I don't like, so I got paid and I'm going to give, but I went and bought a candy bar. It wasn't my first. Like, am I in sin because of that? And then some people, the conversation I hear is, well, oh, you're only giving your net. You need to tithe your gross. Right. You know what I mean? So I think the point that I would have for the team and the team watching here is just give.
Yeah.
And that's what helped me.
Yeah. Selflessly. No, I agree. And then to follow up, so we were talking about, all right, so we're actually talking about finances, right? We talked about the biblical aspect. I got a friend of mine who was able to purchase in his 20s, slowly but surely, him and his wife purchased like 3 properties. And those properties are able to basically essentially pay his overall bills. So I agree with you, Marchione, circling back to what you said at the end of your statement. Like, I think real estate is the best way to go, especially in this environment where things are fluctuating so much in the stock market. You don't know what to invest in. There's so many new things to invest in, cryptocurrency, AI, this, that, and the third. Those are great things, but they go up and down until it's solidified. Real estate never goes away.
Bradley, let me touch on what you're saying. So
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a fun fact. Everybody loves facts. You can look this up. 90% of the world's millionaires, the majority of their portfolio is based in what?
Real estate.
Real estate.
100%.
Tried and true. So just me personally, I would love to do it. I would love to get into real estate. However, I am scared. And I'll admit that. I'll admit that in front of the world because, I'm the kind of person, I want to save as much money as possible. If I put a down payment on a house that I want to intend to use as a rental property, am I prepared to do all the fixing up and around the place? I don't think I have the knowledge. Right? Can I replace the floors? Can I fix up the bathroom?
Yeah.
That's intimidating, guys. I mean, we're all trying to figure out a way to produce money for our family. And one of the golden age of money is can you make money work for you versus the opposite, right?
Yeah.
And I think that that's all of our goals. I think we can all agree on that. However, that is daunting, and you don't get there by lollygagging, to say the least.
Can I approach this situation just from a different angle?
100%.
Right? Because and just us talking about this makes me realize how blessed we are. You know what I'm saying? To even be able to have a conversation about, hey, like, I don't want to purchase land, but I do have the option or capability to do so. If that's crazy how blessed we are here in America, because I know a lot of places that's not even a conversation. You know what I'm saying? Buy land, you can't even buy a piece of bread. And so my thing is, like, I want to approach this from an angle of, hey, you know what I'm saying, speaking like, hey, me and my wife, we make, you know what I'm saying, salary up, bringing our salaries together, we make about $50,000. What about those people? And with Trump, you know what I'm saying, with everything that's popping off, with the economy, you know what I'm saying, how, if you were to give some type of advice, you know what I'm saying, to a household like that who are really struggling, you know what I mean? Like, what would you say? Because it's easy to sit here from our standpoint. We're blessed.
I think all of us, and I think all of us are making over six figures for the most part. All four of us. So audience, like, to your point, we have been blessed, and so I think it's a very interesting question that you bring up right there. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about that?
So I'll tell you my advice to everybody listening. And keep in mind, I am not some finance guru. I am not. I would recommend doing your own research before you do anything. Trust your own instincts. But I'm going to tell you what I do. And this is, again, me personally. So what I do is this, and this has not changed in the last 10 years. So you can look it up on Robinhood as a ticker. And I just say Robinhood because it's an easy platform. It's easy to navigate. It's easy to get information about. You can put $1 into the stock for all that matters, right? What I do is invest in the Vanguard S&P 500. It's called VOO. The ticker is called VOO. So if you type in VOO on Robinhood, I think right now it's at a historical high, which is about, if somebody wants to look it up, it's probably around $4.90 a share right now.
Yeah, comments will get that.
So comments will get that, right? So what this does, it's an ETF, and what an ETF is a collection. So you have a company called Vanguard, and if you don't know who Vanguard is, look up Vanguard and BlackRock. They basically own the United States.
Yeah, they own a fuckload of shit.
So what they do is they invest in all the top companies in the United States and worldwide too. I'm not just limited to the U.S., but this is the Vanguard S&P 500 American companies. So what they do is they invest in these companies and then they sell it back to you to offer you a share in their portfolio. That's what it is. So I invest, I'll tell you exactly what I do. My strategy is this. I invest 20% of my daily yearly income into the Vanguard S&P 500 in my private portfolio. This is outside of my 401k. So where I work for one of the major banks in the United States, and I have a 401k that I invest 8% in. And said bank matches up to 6%. So I have that going, and then I also have a side account of Robinhood, which I invest, again, 20% of my income into. And you ask, why are you doing two? Right? Because, well, my 401k only offers a certain ETF fund that I'm comfortable with. And let's be honest, let's be honest, everybody here, and I think we can all agree on this, is the S&P 500, if it fails, the entire United States economy is destroyed.
Huh?
And you're talking about NVIDIA, Apple, Amazon,
they're not gonna let it
Meta.
Fail. They won't let it fail.
Look, these guys aren't failing. Berkshire Hathaway, these guys are not failing, right? If they fail, the economy is already tanked anyway. So everybody's off the money.
Let each other fail on purpose.
So as long as you're being consistent, $50 a month, you don't know how far that can take you. Look up compounding interest. And don't take it. And I hate to say this, and this is going to seem like a shot at my father, but my father is a boomer. He was born in a different era, and I don't think we should be taking advice as millennials. I don't think we should take advice from.
It's a different game, man.
It is a completely different game, and I will say the most controversial thing that I've said on this podcast to date.
Hot take time.
We are living, us millennials and Gen X or Gen Z, whatever they are, Gen Z.
Both.
All of Gen Z. We are living in a very hard time financially, right? I mean, look at the price of housing. But the whole point I'm trying to make with this is this. You've got to be consistent. And, the advice from boomers, and I don't say that in a negative connotation, please do not take it in the wrong way. The advice from Boomer is just save your money. Well, when they were saving their money in savings accounts for banks,
You were getting an interest return.
yes, you were getting about 7% interest in the 1970s.
Right.
It's about what, 0.005 now?
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
On
So-
your average account. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you look into the historical perspective, your 401ks, if you invest right, these S&P 500 ETF funds have given an average of 15% return. And that is, and since its inception, we're talking 2008, the crash of 2020 with COVID. You guys cannot go wrong. It is conservative. It's not going to be sexy. You're not going to get rich, but you will have a chance at a financial future that benefits you. I'm sorry to take up all guys' time, so guys, please share.
I think that's a good take. And if I can talk about what Noel's prompt was, because I think Noel is speaking from the couple that is struggling, that doesn't even like investing isn't even on their concept of a radar because they're struggling. Yeah. And those are difficult and complicated situations. And not that I have an answer for everybody, but I believe that it starts with, an audit of how they're living their life, and what age they are, what their skill set is, what they do, et cetera, et cetera. I know that financial advisors like Dave Ramsey has the baby step plan, which is like save $1,000, then list, cut up all your credit cards, then list all of your debts, smallest to largest, and start paying them off one at a time. Live on beans and rice and beans. Sell the car that you've got a payment on. Get some $500 25-year-old car, blah, 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 and just make all of the sacrifices. So not that that's a fix-all for everybody, but I think that
There's value.
Yeah, there's value in it. There's takeaways that that could be a solution for a lot of the people that struggle with that. It would be a fix-all for everybody.
And then I'm gonna just say this, man, like just to add on to that, just in conjunction, I think that it may have to do with the career change, man.
Agreed.
You know what I'm saying? And you have to have that dog in you. Know what I'm saying? You might have to develop that dog in you, that grit in you to be like, you know what? I don't like my life. You know what I'm saying? Where I'm at right now. If I keep going at the rate that I'm going now, where am I going to be in 20 years? Am I going to be able to send my kids to college? Am I going to be at Walmart? And there's nothing wrong with this, by the way. So I'm not trying to shoot down anybody. If you want to be at Walmart, greeting, and you like to socialize with people, and that's just something that brings joy to your heart, please do that. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is if you want something else outside of that, then you do need to be aggressive, and probably thinking about a career change. You know what I'm saying? So but that has to be within you. You have to have that grit, that grind to be like, hey, whatever certification I need, whatever type of schooling I need, I don't care. When it gets to the point to where like it has to get to that point for you. And this could jump off into something completely different. You as either the head of the household, or maybe you're the mother who's like, hey, we gotta get it. That can go into a whole different thing. But you have to hate your situation so much and get rid of the pity party. Yeah. If I could, and get rid of the like, man, woe is me. Like this stuff is crazy. Be like, you know what? I don't care what it is. Like, hey, I got responsibilities. I have kids to take care of. Whatever cert I gotta get. Whatever school I got to go to, however way I got to grind to get to my destination and pit my family up out of this, I'm going to do it. And that's the great thing. That's the great thing about America, because the thing is, man, like, I don't know how y'all been deployed, right? Like I've been deployed to Iraq, man. And I've seen people literally, it sounds like some crazy stuff, just like walking through the sand. Like, bro, like those types of options are not available in every single country. But we do have that here, you know what I'm saying? But
good point.
But I think the thing that jacks us over is because we're comfortable. Yeah. And we're just getting by.
Well, we're entitled, man.
We're entitled.
Americans, I mean, listen, I agree with you. I haven't been to Iraq, but I have been to the dirt in the Middle East, so I understand seeing people walking with camels. They actually live on the side of the road, and they actually live in villages
120 degrees,
120 degrees, but then it's 30 degrees at night, and they are used to it, and they are living in a world where the caste system that plagues a lot of the world, we do not have here. It seems like we have it here, and maybe depending on where this country is going, maybe it will turn into a caste system, but we are not at that place right now. The American dream is still alive and well if you can harness it. That's why you have so many in my opinion, so many teenagers and 20 something year olds making millions off of YouTube. It's a new frontier, but the frontier is still there.
Right.
Now, one thing I will say is that I do feel as though, going back to that couple and going back to David Ramsey, because I watched a little bit of David Ramsey as well, and the snowball.
Right, the debt snowball.
Is very impressive. I have used it myself. That works when you have a certain level of income coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Because if combined you're making $50,000 as a couple, the snowball, unfortunately, can be very overwhelming. And trading in your car that works to get your kid from A to B, to school, to soccer practice, and now you got to get the $800 lemon that may or may not work.
And if it breaks down,
you got to pay that $1,000 out of your savings.
So let's
to get it.
Let's look at it from let's look at this episode from you two guys, right? From knowing you two guys for 4 years now, you guys, from my understanding, have transformed your lives completely in the past 4 years that I've known you, right?
Yeah.
You came from making the amount of money that you were not comfortable with.
Yeah.
And you took action and you made it to what you wanted. And you too, by the way. I want to hear from you guys, right?
Yeah.
Like, how did you do it? What steps did you take? This is the most important part. What sacrifices did you make to get to where you are today?
I don't know if
I'll let you guys take that off.
I mean, I think this about life in general, man. It's all posturing.
So Chris, tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, where were you at from where I met you? And I think this is a pivotal part, because I respect you deeply as a human being, and
I appreciate you, bro.
I want people to know like what you did, because knowing you and knowing like what you went through, I want to know how you got to where you are now.
No, absolutely. So I used to work at Duke Hospital, you know what I'm saying? Duke University Hospital, making 17. First it was 15, moved up to $17 an hour. Did patient transport. Then I moved over to helping people with their insurance, like the coding portion on that side, which was cool. But I did know, you know what I'm saying? Like, I knew that this can't be the end all be all.
Right.
And essentially I met my now fiance, and she was a catalyst in this whole thing too, right? And so whoever you choose, and this is a whole different conversation, you know what I'm saying? Whoever you choose to like spend your life with, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Huge decision.
Huge decision, you know what I'm saying? Are they building you up, or are they dragging you down? You know what I'm saying? So I looked at her, when I met her, she was working in global health, right? She was in DC. We met through a mutual friend. I go up there and, you know what I'm saying, we're dating. I travel up to DC and got to meet all of her friends at a party. And so I'm in a room with her friends, and I'm like, hey, my name's Chris. What's your name? My name is such and such. What do you do? Oh, I'm just about to be a doctor. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I'm planning to take my bar. I'm about to
feel comfortable admitting what you're currently doing.
In that room, it was tough.
In that room, it was tough. And in that room, it's tough. And I'm gonna say this right now. And I think I've told y'all this before, man. Like, I used to have a homeboy way back in the day, and and it's always stuck with me. And he told me, hey, I just don't want to be a man with a lot of potential. I just don't want to be, at the end of the day, I don't want to be,
comment.
You know what I'm saying? And so my thing is, as my friend over here says all the time, you know what I mean? Are you optimizing everything that you could be? You know what I'm saying? Or are you just settling because you're comfortable? You know what I mean? And so the problem with me at that stage in my life, going back to the party, is I was, hey man, I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I'm not struggling like super bad, you know what I'm saying? But like, I was comfortable until I found somebody who was like,
elevated.
It's not, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my sweetheart, you know what I'm saying? But you know what I mean? but she definitely elevated me, and I knew that I wasn't comfortable.
Man, you better have a long night tonight.
I knew as, you know what I'm saying, the man in that relationship, that I was like, I'm not comfortable. And it's not just about money. I knew that I could give more. I knew that I could give more. You know what I'm saying? And who wants to walk into a room where everybody is killing it, and you know what I'm saying, and you're doing bare minimum, and you know that it's one thing if you're not capable, It's one thing if you're not capable and like, bro, like I can't do any more than I am. But I knew within myself that's BS.
So it was a gut wrenching feeling in you.
It was a gut
you
wrenching
felt like
feeling.
you hadn't reached your potential.
It felt like that. And keep in mind, you know this, but I also have responsibilities. I got two little, you know what I'm saying, blessings in my life that I was also in charge of providing for and
Children change everything, bro.
Oh, they absolutely do, man.
Everything, man. It changes your whole perspective on what's important as a man.
Right.
And I didn't really learn that until I had my son, and I was like, wow, like, you know, my life is no longer about me.
Right.
You're responsible for a whole different being.
You're responsible for another being.
And my question to you, you know what I'm saying, or you know what I'm saying, even you on that, and I know we're gonna talk about other things later. I'm not gonna go all the way into it, but like, can you really look your son in the eye and tell, hey, I want you to be everything that you possibly can be. I want you to go after the stars, yada yada. You give him the whole speech, but can you really look him in his eyes and tell him that when you yourself haven't done it?
Exactly.
Like you can't. Like there's like, Dad, like, why are you telling me to go to college and get my master's and strive for the best and telling me that that Walmart's not good enough when
Do as I say, not as I do.
Exactly.
Wow.
But you ain't done this, you haven't done it, so why should I follow you? And so going back to the story, got to the point to where I was just not okay. And it got to the point I was like, bro, I'm not happy with myself. I'm underachieving. You know what I'm saying? And so I was like, so I got to the point to where it was, I don't care what I have to do. I'm going to break out of whatever this is to where I'm under, you know what I'm saying? This piss poor or whatever state of life, like I'm getting out of it. And there's nobody or anything that can stop me from doing it. And so whatever freaking certification I gotta get, if I gotta go back to school, even though I don't love school, but if that's a hoop I gotta jump through, if that's a hurdle I gotta jump over, guess what? I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it. You know what I mean? And so, and it's not just for me. It's like, because you guys haven't met my son, you know what I'm saying? But our job, in my opinion, as fathers, my job is to make him better than me. You know what I'm saying? And I can't make him better than me if I'm not doing my best. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so
He needs an example.
yeah, man. So that's when I met you. I met you at MEPS. You know what I mean? And so that's crazy. I actually end up. It's crazy, man. Like
That's what's up.
I end up working at the airport RDU. You know what I'm saying? Just working with printers and stuff. That's my first IT job. You know what I mean? Just doing like small stuff there. And from there, I met some other people again. And this is the other part of it: relationships. Make sure that your soft skills are in place so that when you meet people, you know what I'm saying, you build relationships, and that can get you to other places too.
Yep.
And then I rejoined the Air Force because I was in the Air Force way back when. You know what I'm saying? Rejoined the Air Force. I said,
You got a plan this time.
it was all what's the P word? But besides plan, posturing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I was like, let me posture myself to be able and put myself in an environment to where I can optimize.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes, sir.
you know what I mean?
100%.
And so
Motivating me out of my seat right now.
you know what I mean? And so that's essentially what happened, bro. And that's where I am today. I just kept going. I was like, I'm gonna go this route with IT. It's not only is it lucrative, but I can continue to grow. And the most important thing is that I get time to do the things that I like this. You know what I'm saying? It's not choking the life out of me. You know what I mean? And so
energy for anything else.
yeah, like those are the types of career fields and things that you want to stay away from. People say money is the currency. It's not money, bro. It's what?
Time.
It's freaking time, bro.
So I'm gonna foot stomp that really quickly, and thank you for just giving us like your journey, bro. Because I think all of us, and I think as we go through these pods, we're all gonna be able to kind of talk through like our own individual journeys. But I have a question for y'all. Right? We talked about optimization. We talked about time. There's a new thing on the block right now. There's a new thing in the world right now that we predicted will come, but now it's showing its face, and it's showing its face slowly but surely, and that's AI. If we got to a point where AI could, because we're already doing it, right? And I don't even think we understand what we're doing. We are questioning and giving questions and giving feedback to AI every single day. When we ask a question like, hey, what do I do in this relationship? Hey, what do I do with my finances? Hey, how do I manage this stock? We are feeding the AI, the machine learning, the system abroad, human behavior. What if it gets to the point where it understands humans so much where we don't have to work? where it understands what we need based on all these millions of people giving it information, like yourself saying, yeah, man, you know, go to another, you know, field, go to another career, go to another this, so that way you can maximize. And this AI, Elon Musk brought it to the attention, and I'm not saying I agree with everything Elon says, but he brought to attention, if AI can produce enough, right, monetary value for humankind, and we don't have to work, is that an ideal situation? Would y'all be comfortable if you didn't have to work anymore and we had income coming in, universal income, and now we could spend our time in leisure, family, time, as you talked about, a different type of currency? What do you guys feel about that?
Mario, I want to know what you think, because you and I have had some in-depth conversations about this.
Yeah, well, there's certainly a revolution that's coming with AI. You know, to what extent, we don't totally know. Even those that say they know might have a better indication. They don't totally know, though. For that piece to happen in particular, my belief is that there has to be this marriage between AI and robotics, which hasn't necessarily happened yet. You've seen it in some capacities, kind of like with the like automated driving, right? That's a marriage of AI and robotics.
Right.
Yeah, right. What are they called? Waygos or something like that? Yeah. But like we're talking about like a pipe at your house breaks and a robot shows up to fix it. That's a different deal, right?
Well, they told just less than a plumber.
Yeah, so that's Bradley's point, right?
Yeah.
So there is something like that is on the horizon. I'm not exactly sure what it is. I was just listening to this point. Do you guys ever listen to Diary of a CEO? That pod, yeah. One of an AI specialist was on earlier this week and spoke about the moment of singularity, which is when AI gets to a point where not only do we not understand what it's doing, but we can't even keep up with what it's doing. And he used this great example of, so right now an iPhone comes out every year. We understand what iPhone is. We understand that cycle. At some point, it'll be every 6 months. And then after that, it'll be every month. Then after that, it'll be every week. Then after that, it'll be every day. Then after that, it'll be every hour. Then after that, it'll be every minute. Then after that, it'll be every second. So not only do we not understand what it's doing, we can't even keep up with what it's doing. It's the super intelligence piece. Something is coming. We don't quite know what it is. I'll say this, though, just to wrap up my point. I don't see humans, generally speaking, just flat out being okay with that and be like, oh, bro, no more work? Okay.
No, I think
you know what I mean.
We need purpose.
Yeah.
Some people get pleasure from work.
Right.
Yeah.
Continue on it. I agree completely.
I think we need purpose. I read a book, in the audience, I highly recommend you check this book out. It's called Life 3.0.
Oh, Max Tegmark. Yeah,
that's exactly right. And I when I read that book, it gave a beautiful description and outline of what could be in terms of AI development. And to your point,
that opening chapter is freaking mind-blowing, dude. Yes.
It's bananas. And so a little snippet, a little synopsis is that AI is extremely helpful. It ends up creating this universal prosperity, so to speak, where it's solving things like, hunger, poverty, homelessness. It's solving all these things, right? All the human issues. But then once it reaches a point, you got to understand, God has created us with the ability to be creators,
to innovate.
But the devil comes in and convinces us that we could be better than God and we can create better than God. So you know what AI is to me? AI is an entity that we are trying to create, not understanding its capability. We are creating an entity, because if you are able to give an entity the autonomy to make decisions for itself, it's just like giving something free will. And what do we learn from God and free will?
Right.
We're going to sin.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, I think.
Does that make sense?
No, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense.
So that's the scary part.
Yeah. I think ultimately, I think it's going to be detrimental. If I were to be completely honest, like, I think that I always say everything in moderation, but I don't think that we as a race, you know what I'm saying, human beings, like,
we can't stop.
We can't, like, we go ham, you know what I'm saying, on stuff like that. And so I do want to approach it from a different angle. Like, so my son, we have this battle of him with video games. You know what I'm saying? And my thing is, because I am old school in the sense I was like, man, you need to be outside, getting roughed up, jumping ditches. You need to be
Climb trees.
climbing trees. You need to be outside, building your socialization skills with your friends, yada yada. So the difference is if a robot shows up to my house to fix my air duct, or you know what I'm saying, or to fix my toilet, or to do my plumbing and things like that, I'm already looking at, and tell me what you guys think in the comment section, but I'm already looking at how the next generation coming up right now are their social skills. And that's just based off of, you know what I'm saying? And so once you add AI into it, I was like, bro, like you ain't got to talk to nobody. You know what I'm saying? They just, and they show up to your house and you know what I mean?
But I'm gonna play devil's advocate though.
But I just want to say this one.
Go ahead. Yeah. Get your thought out. Get your thought out.
Because I was like, hey, if you use video games to, you know what I'm saying, relax, chill, and that's cool.
Yeah.
But again, everything in moderation, because it can be detrimental. If you can't go into public places, and relay a message, and really speak to people and get your ideas, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, Gen X has a hard time with Facebook.
It's a hard time with that. You know what I'm saying? And so my thing is, I think that AI could sort of be detrimental in the sense, I was like, we're already struggling without AI, you know what I'm saying? Or AI completely, you know what I'm saying, implemented. And so when it is implemented at the rate that you're saying, it's gonna be problematic, bro. Like
but throughout the year 2045, but here's the thing, that's the prediction.
The thing about it is that the natural evolution of human beings, right? Because think about it like this. We've progressed in the last 100 years faster than we ever have.
100%.
In the last 3,000 years.
Clarification. Are you asking about, because I believe that we are built to be, we're social beings.
We are.
We need socialization. You know what I'm saying? Socialization. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
And like you take away, people start acting crazy. That's why there's solitary confinement. What happens when it happens?
Well, what I'm saying is, I mean, I'm not saying let's not be social, but to your point about your son, and I'm not saying you're wrong because I agree, right? That's how we learn to socialize. But the question is there a natural progression of human beings where the socialization will and must change?
I think we've already seen it happen. That's the piece that's the social media conversation, and it will continue to progress in that regard. And then generally speaking, this is an old narrative for the older millennials, which is the Terminator, the Matrix.
Right.
You know, like I'm not necessarily saying direct conflict between man versus machine, but the Matrix has a theme of God created man in his image, and for a time it was good, and then the fall. And then man created machine in its image, and for a time it was good until the fall.
Yeah.
So, you know, these are stories that at least in science fiction or in human imagination have been said and told and relayed. How it actually plays out, you know, who knows?
Interesting though. That's
well, let's get into the historical perspective on this.
All right.
Right? Let's take it for what it is, right? In America, we live in a capitalist society. When has profits ever cared about the human being over money?
No, they don't. They don't. But they don't.
Let's look at who's leading the race right now in AI. That's NVIDIA. I don't think any company in the history of humankind has grown like they have in the last 2 years, right? I mean, if you guys want to know what I'm talking about, if you're a subscriber and you have no idea what I'm talking about, look at NVIDIA and their rise to power, so to speak, from the stock market perspective, right? Look at what they went from to what they are now, right? And what they do as a company, right, is they're making the chips that power every one of these AI-driven bots, AI-driven infrastructure, infrastructure being servers, things like that. Well, that's a whole other topic. But the whole point being is this: they make the sauce that flavors the food.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you this right now. When have in human history has anybody ever cared that ruled the society? When have they ever cared about human beings over profit?
Oh, they don't. They don't. Which is why I can see it happening.
And to touch on the negative aspect of this, I think this is where we're headed. I think we're headed to, there's going to be millionaires like you've never seen. And I say millionaires is a loose term, meaning you're going to see people get shit rich like you've never seen before. And I think that we're headed to a society of every man for himself.
Oh, for
with
sure.
AI.
That's an interesting take. I think it can go either way. I think it can go completely detrimental immediately, or it can go to prosperity immediately. And when I say immediate, I don't mean like next year. I mean like in the next like 50
That's
to
dependent upon
50 to
government
100
collaboration.
years.
And right, you see with the Trump second term, you're looking at Republican and Democrats. They've always been divided, but we're talking about from here divided to here divided right now.
The have and the have-nots.
Can they collaborate, especially with something like AI, right? Something that's lining people's pockets. I mean, you're a fool to think that these companies haven't come to the government saying, "Hey, we can make X amount of dollars for you guys.
Corporations rule the
Vote
U.S.
this way."
Corporations rule the U.S. You talked about BlackRock. You mentioned it. Dude, BlackRock owns, like you said, 90% or 85% or 80% of our country in one facet or another, from media to real estate. I mean, the list goes on and on. The commercial, dude, when I was trying to buy a house, there was all kinds of companies coming in that were under the umbrella of one of the companies you mentioned, buying up single family properties. So that way the people that were trying to buy, like your average citizen trying to buy a house, couldn't buy because you can't keep up with, if I want to buy a house at 300,000, but you're coming with cash at 500,000, I can't keep up with that.
Right.
I'm going to lose out on that house. And you do that times 10 in a suburb or some type of subdivision, and you're going to miss out. So I agree with you. I think that the question is America heading to an oligarchy? Are we headed to an oligarchy where these corporations, the rich, own everything?
I think we're there.
Rented out. Are we already there?
I think
Are we
we're
there already?
I think
Have
we're
we,
here.
have we gotten there?
Well, we could say America, but if we say America, then you'd have to show me the country that isn't.
Right. I agree. I was going to say that too.
Well, some countries have a monarchy still. Some countries have communism.
Right, which is, I would say, from the communism standpoint, it's even worse. But the monarchy, so the large corporations of England, for instance, aren't the same, or you know what I mean? They're not equally as in control or equally as influential in the economics and governance of that country. You know, because the monarchy, what's the legislation we're waiting for King Charles to pass?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
No,
so we could look at Saudi Arabia. It was MSB.
now they run their shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So that's like a king that is literally in charge.
Prince King.
But also like the kingdom owns everything. My understanding of that style of economy is that there is no personal ownership. Right. Everyone is a subject of the king, and all things, even though there are individuals that can prosper in that format.
Oh, by
Ultimately, the king can come in and take what
they all get a stipend too. By the way, there's a universal stipend to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
If you are born or something,
if you're Saudi
you get a
Arabia,
stipend, and they own all the businesses. So imagine a country, imagine the U.S. where if you're born a U.S. citizen, you're a U.S. citizen or whatever, because shit's changing now. But if you're considered a U.S. citizen, you get a stipend of $5,000 a month automatically. You are a U.S. Everybody else that comes over here that's a foreigner that doesn't gain citizenship does not get that stipend, and they 9 times out of 10 are going to work for you.
Yeah, because that's how it is.
Yeah, but I think they do that through the oil that's produced by that country. But I think that also too, you have to have a kingship to do that kind of thing, to have that flat out entitlement, because ultimately you've got to have some sort of incentive for people, not just from the economic standpoint, but the ability to take it away from them.
Right.
You know, like, so if we were to say, hey, basic income in the United States is your right. Just because you are a citizen, doesn't matter who's in charge, who's in office, I think that's a different model than what maybe Saudi Arabia, or I don't know if it's the same way in Qatar or UAE or some of those other countries in the same area. But I think that's why they can run that style of stipend, because they have that style of government.
That's an excellent point. I don't disagree. But the question becomes again, are we comfortable with an oligarchy? Because that's what we're voting for.
So let's continue on this, right? Let's think about this.
In the U.S., I'm talking about.
So we have current situations, right, where we consider the topic, let's just say government overreach, right? Currently in our nation's capital, there is the Washington, D.C. National Guard being deployed to, I I don't even know how to describe it. What would you call it? Right? What is the DC National Guard there to do? What's
So from what I understand,
Supplemental police forces.
yes,
Supplemental
supplemental police forces. Yeah. So DC was, I believed when it happened, and it's very evident now that was a starting point, a catalyst to see if he could do it. Can I do this and get away with it? And he did. He's being sued, of course, by the city, but he did it, right? He deployed military troops,
right,
to enforce law. Now, here's the problem for the audience. If you're questioning whether or not this is legal, it's not. There is in 1878 a statute essentially that says you may not deploy military for law enforcement.
Check that.
Okay?
It's got to go through the courts.
1878. It's got
to go through the courts. So
well, they have to interpret it.
Right. It's going to go through the courts.
See,
right.
But it's
but Trump believes he's in his right for his Article 2 powers as the chief magistrate, and he believes that's crystal clear. And the opposition is saying no, this needs to go through the courts.
In what? So then you have to clarify that. In what regard are you within your rights as the commander in chief to deploy military soldiers or a military unit for non-emergency actions?
He's claiming it is an emergency.
And on what grounds?
On the criminal grounds of the overall state of Washington, D.C.
Then why not use the police force?
Because they're overwhelmed. That's the accusation.
I guess
The police chief, though, they say they're not overwhelmed and they can do it themselves.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Hey, and maybe so. But all we know is you don't want to be out in D.C. prior to these deployments at night. You don't. Same thing in Chicago. You don't want to be in the south side of Chicago.
I've clubbed in D.C. I've been.
Well, let's clarify this argument, right? Let's clarify this.
But it's got to go through the courts regardless, and that's the ultimate piece that's happening here. And he's saying Chicago next, New York, Los Angeles, possibly.
That's a police state. So and Trey, I'm gonna let you hop in because I know you have a very good insight on this, and I can't wait to hear it. But the last point, and I'll leave it at this. Now we're talking about, and like I said, that was a catalyst. So now he's like, oh, I did it in this state or city. Now I'm going to do it here. It
was
so
the gateways.
Our country becomes a what? It becomes a police state. It becomes
full disagreement.
It becomes what we fought in the American Revolution when we fought the Brits, and we said, how dare you come to our doors as the British. And come sleep in our house and stand by our doors and tell us when curfew is and tell us how we're going to live. That's literally what the American Revolution was about. And people are saying they're comfortable with this.
That was a foreign power, and it was also a different time period. That's also the No Quartering Act. And I don't think anyone's asking for these guards members who are being deployed to be quartered and housed locally by the local residents. But I think it's far away from I think it's far away from a police state. I think if you go and examine something that everyone would universally consider a police state, like North Korea, long ways away. He likes what they do.
Well,
he works with he has a good relationship with Kim Jong-un allegedly. Same thing with Putin, but also same thing with pretty much any other political leader that you could name of from another country. I mean, he just got to deal with the UE. Who did he have over earlier this week? Like the president of Poland. Like who is the world political leader that you would say, man, like that guy hates Trump publicly and privately? It's not a thing. It's not a thing. Like you can speculate on Putin. Yeah, you can speculate, but it's not a clear thing.
I would say I wouldn't say it publicly, but to stay on conversation, and not go off on Trump's policies, but let's go back to the D.C. National Guard, the D.C. deployment, right? So just for the audience, I was a police officer in Charlotte, North Carolina for over 6 years, and that kind of shaped who I am today. I'm going to be honest. If the North Carolina National Guard was activated and came to Charlotte for law enforcement type operations, I would probably feel offended. So you're saying that you don't have trust in us. You're saying that we can't handle this on our own. And I'll say this: I was a part of the 2020 George Floyd riots. I I was on the front lines for about 16 days straight, 12-hour shifts, no days off. It sucked, to say the least, right? And rightfully so. That was a horrific event in the history of the United States.
Horrific in what way? I want to hear the clarification behind that.
I want to say that, like, that's absolutely ridiculous that even happened, right?
Okay.
You have a man sitting on the ground handcuffed, and I know for a fact people can still fight while they're handcuffed.
Okay.
But their ability to hurt you
It's greatly
is severely diminished.
Mm-hmm.
And for you to sit there and put your knee on the neck for the amount of time that you did, and I'm not going to say the officer's name. I'm not going to draw attention to that whole situation because it was just completely unnecessary.
I just wanted to hear your perspective from a police
so,
officer.
I think that he drug every police officer in the United States at the time into an absolutely ridiculous situation, and he kind of screwed us all in a way. He set us back about 10 years in relations with the communities that we served at the time. Now, regardless, that's beside the point.
Yeah.
My point I'm trying to make is I would feel offended that the National Guard is here if we didn't ask for it. But I will say this. There is a news story out there right now that an Army National Guard captain and a specialist prevented a stabbing in the D.C. metro.
Okay.
I think that is a good thing, patrolling the areas that need visibility, because police departments nationwide are understaffed. Who the hell wants to be a cop nowadays?
It's different, man. It's different.
I left for a reason, and I think that that's important to call out, and that the additional help in that regard, high visibility areas, high crime areas, especially when you're visiting the nation's capital.
That's true.
Let's not forget this. You are visiting the nation's capital. Imagine you as a foreigner coming and you're getting shanked in a public area on the DC Metro.
No, you know what? I want to add to that, Trey. And this is gonna offend a lot of the people, a lot of Democratic voters, a lot of blue voters, because
take time.
Yeah, oh man, listen, look. So I see myself as a moderate progressive, meaning that typically I vote blue, but I also have a lot of traditional conservative views as it pertains to family, protection of my family, protection of myself, my right to bear arms, those kind of things, right? And we all talk about those things. I will agree with this, right? Even though I don't agree with the police state or where this thing can go, I do agree that in certain areas, in certain pockets, and I'm talking to my beautiful black people right now, there's no reason why we should have let our neighborhoods get to the point that they are at.
1000%.
There's no reason why we shouldn't be able to let grandma walk up the street safe, why people are shooting up, going back to school events and shit like that. It's absolutely out of hand, and we let this happen. We talked about it in another pod, right? The gangs, Black Panthers essentially was seen as a terrorist group, right, for so many different reasons by the government. But initially, when they started, their goal was just simply to protect their neighborhood from oppression. And we have let ourselves slip, and we have let our neighborhood slip. And if Chi-Town or Chirac, as they call it, can't get themselves together, well, fuck, guess what? Now somebody is coming in and getting themselves together. And as a military veteran, I want kids to be able to walk up the street and go to the bus and be safe. So I agree that there had to be a measure that is taken. Do I agree that in the long term, a police state in the and the reason why I keep saying police state is because if you do it in several cities all over the country, it's going to become a police state. It's inevitable. Because if you're able to do it in 10 of the top cities, it's not going to stop there.
Right.
So maybe we figure out where that line is drawn. I don't know. But I will agree, Marchione, that something had to be done.
So, hey, real quick, man.
Beautiful. Very well said.
Very well said. Very well said. And so I do want to go back to the captain and the specialist that you were talking about. This is not to diminish the light, and what they did. You as a, former policeman, what they did, the action that they took to prevent, that crime, was it within the training that you got that you could have done the same thing as a police officer?
This depends. I mean, I can't speak to what training.
What they do? Yeah. What was the method that they used to?
They stopped the stabbing. That was about.
But like, was it? Are you talking about like with a headlock or with a type of hold or with a type of?
Listen, that I don't know.
Okay.
So my subscribers are going to eat me alive on this.
Okay.
You guys
No.
fact check me. You guys.
I don't know either.
Lay it on me.
Fact check.
Lay it on me right now. I don't know what they did to subdue the offender.
Yeah.
But whatever it was, it sounds like it was within the totality of the circumstances. And what that means in police terms is the necessary amount of force to stop an aggressive.
But nobody was killed. They just stopped things. from-
Right.
Right, which is awesome. So the second part I want to put onto this, you guys remember when we were in high school, we got the little drug classes or whatnot there, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they used to talk about marijuana, how it was a gateway drug, and then you would move on, and you know what I'm saying? Just say no. And how they would move on to the more serious drugs. I do believe that, hey, like if this thing, if this is happening in one location and then we keep on moving to the next location, I do think that it has the potential to become something like, damn, I don't even recognize the United States anymore like that.
Hey, these cities are so clean, team. We don't even recognize them anymore.
Not from that standpoint, but you know what I'm saying? But more so, it's like, dang, bro, like we literally have the guard, reserves, whoever, military, and multiple cities. So that's
I'm
something.
going further and let them all file VA claims after their deployments. Yes,
File VA
that's
claims.
right.
VA claims
That's
for
right.
everybody. But I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Let me hear what y'all think in the comment section. I personally would prefer that not to happen. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
but I do understand. You know what I'm saying? The angle that you were coming from. And so, yeah, we want to hear what y'all think in the comment section, man.
So, guys, thank you so much for attending episode 3. We appreciate you guys being here. If you've watched this entire episode, please like, subscribe, and comment. Please let us know what you think. Add your opinion, please. I mean, the whole point of this podcast is to bring attention to these issues, right? We don't move forward as a country. We don't move forward as a people, as humankind. We don't move forward without discussing this and making change at the level where it needs to be changed, right? So thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.
Peace out.
Thanks, guys.